Hey everyone, I'm Alan Schimmel, and I want to be an organizer for the first digital labor union. You're watching Techstrong Gang. Hey everyone, happy Thursday. We're inching closer to Christmas. We've only got, I think 3 more shows for the rest of this year, which is sad when you think about it. It's been a great year of Techstrong Gang. We should probably run over Christmas, Mr. Rizard, a retrospective of the best of Techstrong Gang for 2024. Just or maybe a flubs and flubbers or whatever they call it. Outtakes from Techstrong Gang.
I'm going to get all the political episodes together, okay?
Oh, that would be fun.
No, Yankee episodes.
Yankee episodes would be fine. There's a lot of ways we could go with this. But anyway, thank you and welcome to Techstrong Gang. Thanks for joining us. We've got a great gang lined up for you today. We're going to talk about some cool things. As I mentioned, digital labor, top of the list. But let me introduce you to who we have here. He's back on his throne in Silicon Valley. The one and only John Swartz. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good. I hope everyone else is doing well.
I hope we are too, as we inch closer to the holidays and festivities. Moving from west to east. Actually, I don't know which one of you is further west versus east.
Camberley is well.
Camberley, because Boulder's in the foothills. So I guess we'll go then to our future infrastructure analyst and Yankee expert, Camberley Bates, coming at you from Boulder. Hey, Camberley.
5,800 feet is where my house is.
Yeah, she's at 5,800 feet. Who was it? Was it Howard Diamond? Mitchell used to say he was at 5,000 feet or something like that.
Yeah, he was always bragging about the elevation of his house.
Yes.
Amongst other things.
I spoke to Howard recently, actually, though. He's doing well. I was glad to hear it.
Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Anyway, Camberley, welcome. It's great to have you on. As always, you bring a touch of class to the gang. I think for the 2024,
that's true.
Yeah, we should do like the Techstrong Gang Awards, and Camberley gets a touch of class award.
There you go.
Moving from Camberley over to, I guess not slumming it, but moving a little east in Colorado's. He's also a Futurum analyst for security and DevOps. It's our own Mitch Ashley. Hey, Mitch, how are you, man?
Hey, coming to you from the lowlands of Front Range of Colorado.
The Front Range.
Camberley, I'm down in the valley here.
You're 5,200.
Yeah. Well, the base is what, 48 or 49, something like that, isn't it?
Somewhere near the Nebraska border.
Yeah, well, that's where Mitchell's from.
Okay, I've been clawing my way into Colorado ever since.
Yeah, no, he's a Nebraska boy. Anyway, moving along from Colorado all the way east to Harrison, New York, where he's still plodding. Mark Bellinger wasn't good enough, and he's only 29, not 30, Mark Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger. Who's Mark Bellinger used to play shortstop for the Orioles
For the
100
Orioles.
years ago.
I know.
Yeah,
Mark part of the 69 Orioles team.
Yeah, he was part of the 69. That was a heck of a team.
Who did they just trade to the Mets? The big
Bellinger from the Cubs. Oh.
No. From Yankees.
That wasn't a trade,
Soto.
Mitchell. That wasn't a trade. It was a theft.
Hey, do we want to talk about Buffalo and what they're doing up there? They're like rocking.
Buffalo is the Bills, you mean?
The Buffalo Bills are rocking
We might actually, it would be great to see the Bills win a Super Bowl, wouldn't it?
again.
Yes.
No, they never won a Super Bowl.
No, they didn't.
No, they were in 4 Super Bowls in a row and lost all 4. Jeez. Now that you bring it up. But it would be nice to see them win one. It would better. I get tired of seeing the repeats, so I'm not rooting for Kansas City. But anyway, moving on from sports, our chief content officer, I don't know if he ever moves on from sports, but our chief content officer, Mike Vizard.
So as you alluded to at the beginning, we were talking about digital labor. Mark Benioff over at Salesforce was talking about this week. And I guess, they announced some stuff around this agentic AI model of theirs 2.0, and to be frank about it, it was hardly any new features whatsoever. I think they just had a little bit of insecurity and felt that they should talk about something. But one of the things they did mention is the rise of digital labor in the form of AI agents. And I know, John, you watched this whole thing from the beginning to the end. And what is your impression of what's going on here?
That was interesting. I came with very low expectations because I thought it was just a marketing event. So I turned it on, and immediately Benioff started talking about the follow up and this concept of digital labor, basically a workforce of AI assistants, which will eventually, he thinks, this was the really interesting part to me, they will manifest themselves into robots eventually. So he mentioned that Salesforce is in the midst of hiring 2,000 people to sell the AI products. The one thing that they really want to do, though, is wean off of human beings in simple tasks like most companies. And in a sense, Salesforce is already using some elements of agentic AI internally. And some of it faces the public, but for the most part, this is a work in progress. So he talked about what's happening now as humans and agents are working together to be more productive. And he says, I have humans and robots working for me. It is fantastical. It is not some fantasy. It is happening right now. And he envisions this as a $1 trillion industry. And in a sense, one of the things he talked about to underscore his point was that he'd come to the press conference in a Waymo vehicle, which was driverless, and that this was clearly the future. So in terms of news, nothing really, except for the hiring. What was interesting to me, though, is this kind of concept that he did bring up at Dreamforce, by the way, with Jensen, about these billions of workers who report to them in a weird sort of way. And, he threw that out there. And I think there are elements of this we're starting to see among other companies and maybe perhaps even in the government eventually. So that's kind of where it stood. And, again, for him,
There are a
he's usually a
couple
marketing
of
guy, but
nuances in.
Yeah. John, we cut you off there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right. There's a couple of nuances in here that I'd love to get Alan's opinion on because, yeah, he's essentially positioning these things as contract labor that you're going to hire, and it's not just software that you're going to license. And some of the folks like over at Quay.ai, they're an iPaaS vendor, are saying that's crazy. You're going to lock yourself into these SaaS vendors and who are going to basically now convince you that you're supposed to hire their AI agents as virtual employees. In fact, there's also some startup up there that lets you rent robots for the day to accomplish tasks, and it's a similar notion. And I'm not sure I'm buying into this whole idea that we should trust software vendors to create AI agents for us that we're gonna quote unquote hire. I think we need to create our own digital agents that are aimed at specific tasks and not get locked into these SaaS platforms.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So-
Mike, there's people who aren't going to be, in a position to create their own, right? So why not have a kind of rent an AI bot, rent an AI agent from somebody who specializes in creating those?
If
There
it
a lot
comes
of the
as part of
security.
software, I'm all for it. If it's going to be this like virtual employee that I'm going to hire on a contract basis, I'm not so sure I'm buying into that.
I mean, part of what I think the connection for me is that some of these agents, they are assigning them a user role in identity management systems and security, and part to be able to the knowledge graph of all the things that are happening in the organizations. What AI agents doing are just important to know about in the context of them, as well as people, humans, and kind of assisted stuff. So to me, it's inevitable. It seems like I think we're headed that direction no matter what.
It
But-
seems like the fastest way for organizations to get to this space is for the SaaS organizations that have that knowledge base to build it and then to implement. Now, the flip side of that, and I kind of alluded to it earlier this morning when I posted something, this is the issue about liability. Who's responsible? That's going to be a big issue that we'll be heading to in terms of, is it good enough, that I worked, what bar do I have to reach in order to be able to be okay and not be liable for whatever that agent is producing?
I mean, Mike, I do have an opinion on this. Surprise. But my question to you is, and I'm going to quote a little old Saturday Night Live, Stuart Smalley. When was the last time you took a good look in the mirror? Because quite frankly, what's the difference whether I call something an agent or a virtual employee if what it does is the same thing? Like, if you can clearly distinguish,
I am not arguing the point about whether or not we're going to use digital assistants. I'm arguing the point that we're going to contract that out to Salesforce or any other SaaS vendor who's
why
going to
you're
turn
going to
around.
build your own, you're rolling your own?
Yeah, I think your companies are going to be better off rolling their own, because if you
Nah.
don't, then one day Benioff's going to call you up and say, hey, my digital workers are going out on strike unless you start coughing up more money.
Yeah, that's the way of the world.
Yeah, but it becomes a part of the service that they're providing to you.
Yeah.
So think about this. Just this morning, I was thinking, okay, what's the difference between a digital agent doing whatever we're saying that they're going to do with the AI piece of it, and me this morning, I called the pharmacy to update a prescription that I had, punching in the number. I mean, that was a digital provider for me trying to get something done, or self-serving myself and anything else in terms of a digital agent with checking out of the grocery store. Those are all, you could call those digital agents. Now there's an expert at the grocery store to make sure I just don't walk out the door with the goods. So there
Not
has
at all grocery stores, though,
That's
Camberley,
true.
right? You go to an Amazon market, there's no one there.
Well,
There's usually some-
Walmart people are wearing body cameras now, by the way. They announced that during the holidays.
So I mean, it's just a lot. It all, to me, it gets back to what is AI. AI is something we don't understand and haven't been able to define. So once it gets defined and it rolls out, it just becomes another application that's out there.
I surely hope that that's the way it plays out. But if you listen to what these guys are saying, is they are subtly positioning themselves to treat that as some sort of employee contractor that you are hiring on their behalf, not in the software license. It's going to be an additional fee that sits on top.
Well, Benioff is always known for charging quite a bit and get a lot of money out of it. I mean, he's
Well, but
right
the
there with Larry
market-
Ellison in terms of he's going to squeeze everything he can out of
But
it.
the market will accept it or not accept it. If the market says poppycock, they won't sign up and pay the extra fees and won't use that agent. They'll roll their own. But at some point, there's going to be, the CapEx versus OpEx or whatever the argument is versus make or buy. And if buy is cheaper than make, they're going to buy. It's the market.
You know, the one thing though that always concerns me is just he almost interchanges the employee with the assistant. I mean, it almost seems as if the human is almost kind of a secondary player in all this. And I know that's probably not his intention, but I think it kind of builds into this anxiety people have about
I
whether
think
their jobs
he
are going to
doesn't
be
make them
safe.
secondary, John. I think he equates, though, they're interchangeable almost. A
They're
non-human
interchangeable is a better
versus
way of putting
human.
it, right? Right. You can
And
swap one
that
for the other.
cheapens humanity, right?
Absolutely. And I don't think that is his intention. I think he wants us to be full of wonder and discovery about what could happen. But I think in a sense, he undercuts the human capability. And I think that's something that employees are going to have picked up on. I know they're hiring 2,000 people, but nonetheless, part of the messaging, I think, plays into this paranoia. And also the fact that do you really want somebody like a Salesforce or a Microsoft to have so much power within your own organization?
Can I just mention one other thing about the hiring 2,000 people? Before he goes out and hires 2,000 more people, maybe we could rehire some of the thousands of people they laid off.
Exactly.
Well, they're hiring salespeople. The people they laid off were not salespeople. So that's
Maybe they want to be salespeople. Maybe they haven't found a job. But, I digress. Here's another quick thing I wanted to mention, and that is, to me, stuff gets real when we got real robots, right? When you've got Elijah Bailey and he's programmed with some AI, now you're talking. Now you're talking. I can't wait for those days. And those will be digital employees, by the way. And they will have contracts and everything else. But because right now, we live in a service industry world and agents can do a lot of service related kind of things digitally for us. But when you have robots empowered with AI. I mean, this is Isaac Asimov to me.
You know, the
wait.
one thing, can I just jump in for
Sure.
a second? The one thing, remember, Alan, we were talking about this at reInvent. So Amazon's got hundreds of thousands, if not a million robots that work within their warehouses. They are going to get better. And in a sense,
Smarter.
Bezos has, and smarter. They're going to be able to use their arms, sorts, do things that they weren't capable of doing even 6 months ago. And I think we're kind of moving in that direction. We also see the Tesla robot humanoid doing things before, like walking on uneven space, on uneven ground. Like they are advancing fast.
Right.
And I think about them also as digital labor.
Right. That's real digital labor where, you know, Mike, the distinction you have, I think, kind of goes away. When you could go down to Best Buy and buy yourself a robot and they wash the dishes and walk the dog and do stuff like that, maybe hit a baseball.
Maybe they're multi-functioning robots and I only need one or two of them and they can handle multiple tasks. And maybe I'm not as dependent upon that service provider. But on this whole software side and these small little things, it's not going to be a huge lift to create your own agent. It's going to be a lot simpler as we go forward. And I think people are going to be better off controlling their own destiny than relying on Salesforce, Microsoft, Google, or any of these guys, because they've all shown in the past that when it comes to your wallet, they can't be trusted.
Bah humbug. Go play in front of your own house.
So you're saying I have to get my Rosie the robot from the Jetsons from Best Buy, or
Wouldn't
do I have
that
to go
be
to
great?
Microsoft?
Yeah, well,
There's
depressed
that
robot.
company that Bezos invested in that is like it's based on Rosie the robot.
Yeah.
Basically, it
Yeah.
sorts laundry. It can fold boxes. It can move dishes and glasses off tables. And it works.
What was the manic depressive robot in Hitchhiker's Guide?
that was pretty funny. All right, hey, we got to take a break. We're going to come back here, and our next segment is about a stocking stuffer from NVIDIA. You can get your own little super duper AI supercomputer for just $250 or less. You're watching Techstrong, gang.
Modernize your business to fuel innovation and elevate customer experiences. With the Builder Community Hub, AWS and its partner network provide essential tools for transforming applications and infrastructure to fully leverage the cloud. Discover free trials, in-depth demos, and essential resources to empower DevOps engineers and developers to deliver value faster and more reliably. Visit the Builder Community Hub to learn more.
All right, folks. Yes, it's true. NVIDIA's got a little Christmas kind of stocking stuffer thing for the geeky set, $250. You get your own little developer kit for building AI kind of applications. Mitch, is this on your list all of a sudden? Is this there? Is this going to be under the tree on Christmas Day for you, or what are you thinking?
Well, we'll find out next week. But as soon as I read John's article about this, I quick updated my Christmas wish list in the family Google Doc. So this
Mitchell,
thing,
the real question is, have you been naughty or nice?
well, that doesn't matter because I'm always naughty.
Oh, okay. You mean I get it then.
Well, first of all, this is an update to a product, but the name of the product, NVIDIA does some really good things around product naming that I really enjoy. This thing is called the Jetson Orin Nano Super
Yes,
Developer
it is.
Kit. So anything Jetson, and it's called the Jetson Community because that's the SDK for it. This is a card. We were talking about robotics earlier, right? You could use this for robotics, for vision, for all kinds of things at the edge. So it is a developer kit, but it's also something leading you to putting AI into different applications. But this thing, the performance is jumped up to, I think, at the top end of 67 trillion operations per second. It's just phenomenal. 102 gigabits per second memory bandwidth. So it cranks. This will do a lot of great work. And you can use it for generative AI, but you could also use it for, models that are doing machine learning, things like that. So, yeah, my heart kind of gave a little pitter patter there, John, when I read this article. I'm like, dude.
Oh, I know.
Get me one of
They
these.
did they had a video that they put out with Jensen. He's at home. He's in his new home, and he's saying, I think I might have cooked this a little bit too long, and he takes out of the oven this palm-sized developer kit, right? It's really hokey because but he did say a long time ago, we created a robotics processor and we imagined one day that these deep learning models would evolve and we would have robots of all kinds. So to end the video, he's talking to somebody off camera and you're wondering, who's he talking to? And he has these 3 little dogs sitting there wagging their tails with their tongues hanging out. I guess he's envisioning them as the customer, right? And it was kind of cute, right? I mean, they were fascinated. But the one thing also I remember, and it goes back to reInvent. Everything goes back to reInvent, it seems. But I think at reInvent, AWS said it was building one of the world's most powerful AI supercomputers with Anthropic.
Right.
It's Project
But
Rainier.
not for
and it was-
$250.
Yeah, that's not 250. But it's like this whole idea though, of these folks getting into quote unquote supercomputer realm. And with NVIDIA, I think as Mitch has said, this was it's kind of an incremental release. It was done. It got a lot of attention. And again, I think back to the last segment and I think about this advancement in kind of robotics and digital labor. It all is kind of moving in the same direction.
And one of the first places I went, and I'm not technical enough to know this, but maybe you guys do, Mitch or whatever, is can this be used by the Bitcoin guys?
Oh, for mining.
Oh, I don't know why not. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if I stack this along with whatever I'm doing with Bitcoin, we've all of a sudden changed some things within that space.
Good. We need some changing. It's out of control. Um,
No, you're spot on.
All,
Camberley.
all I heard is my kid can pay for his college now if I buy in this thing. Is that what I heard?
well, so here's the thing. To me, I mean, it's a nice headline, but when you dug in, and you know what, John, I read your article, and there was another one on the TLDR newsletter that I jumped into, and it seems to be a lot to do about nothing in some ways. Those boys and their
I agree.
toys, right? Mitchell's a gadget geek boy. He sees more horsepower, and he's strapping them on. But I mean, what's it really supposed to be used for? According to them, it's good if you're working on robotics or some sort of developer kind of situation.
Vision kind of application.
Yeah,
Yes,
this
that's what you do at the edge.
isn't a mainstream. This is not a mainstream kind
But
of
does
thing.
this get into the hands of what you said? It's getting something into the hands of the developers. It's cheap,
Right.
so it's more ubiquitous. If I'm talking about, and again, I don't know what I will do with this, but I'm thinking through how different companies have seeded the colleges or the tech schools, et cetera. So can this become a tool for a teacher in terms of implementing AI at the local college or the local tech school and getting, so the kids have got a computer. So all of a sudden, and then I've trained them on my tools so that when they get out of there, it's kind of like I want to train them on my, whatever I'm doing for design work. So when I get out of there, that is where I want to go. That's what I'm going to want to use. So all of a sudden, I've seeded what platform I'm going to develop on, which is we've been doing this for decades of seeding.
This is the Apple Macintosh or the Apple II computer in
Yeah.
schools. This
But it's not the Newton.
no, but thank God
No.
it's not the Newton.
Thank
this,
God
this
it's
is
not.
real. This is not just a toy, Alan, because this thing will run. I mean, unless you're saying the Edge is a toy, and I know you're not saying that, but this thing will run models for vision, for robotics, for sensor processing. It's all made. It's made for this chip. I think it's the Ampere chip, if I remember right, to run on edge devices, right? This is edge computing, AI edge computing. And it's a developer kit, to get you involved in building it. But this is what we're going to see at the edge. These are the kind of chips that NVIDIA is trying to push all the way out to the edge and gain, have a major foothold there as well. So to me, it's more than just Mitch's gadget feeding his need for the latest powerful CPU.
Yeah,
GPU.
Boys and their toys.
That too.
Well, it's also, if I look at thinking about what I want to do with video surveillance, right? And at video surveillance, I want that processor there to to improve the quality of what I'm doing out there. I want to make that faster. I want to be able to move people through the sports arena faster. All those
TSA
things
line.
are
Yeah.
right. That is all edge kind of applications that we keep on ratcheting up how good the imagery is, and this is going to help.
Well,
that.
I will tell you, I often speak to the folks at Sony, not Sony cameras per se and that kind of stuff, but they're Sony semiconductor, Sony silicon. And they actually have, and Sony powers most of the cameras on your phones today. If you don't know, there's a Sony chip in there. Sony has that amazing recognition and amazing video surveillance capability, sensors built in. Yeah, it's on Techstrong TV. I just did an interview with them last month. So, I think there is some of that. But hey, you got to give NVIDIA credit here for, I think as Camberley says, they're capturing mind share, right? How do you stay on top of this market? How do you maintain your leadership? It's seeding the next generation here with this kind of stuff. But we got to take a break.
Wait, I want to say the one thing I'm looking forward to
Go ahead.
is bot wars in my local playground when the
Oh,
kids get a hold
absolutely.
of this and they start building out those little bot things, and we're just gonna go hang out in the playground and
You
watch
must
these things.
you must
be
live
crap.
in a nerdy neighborhood, Mike.
Oh,
That's not the kind of wars we had in my schoolyard.
Bot
Oh.
wars are serious business. Those things are mean, destructive.
Oh, we did
It's
have
fun.
Coleco Monday Night Football. That was a fun game to play. But anyway,
Yes, yeah.
More than
let-
Duplo. We're not talking Duplo.
let's take a break. We're going to come back, and we've got some good DevSecOps next news coming out all over the place. You're watching Techstrong, gang.
All right, as Alan noted, there's been a lot of news in the DevSecOps space this week. First, Sonar bought Tidelift to gain some access to third-party code that they can inspect with their AI tools. OpenText has turned around and did a deal with Secure Code Warrior to add some training capabilities into their platform. And finally, we had Salt Security did an integration with CrowdStrike, and the idea is that you're going to be able to discover more API security issues. And a funny thing is, I looked at all of this stuff, Alan, is all these folks are building platforms, and it almost feels like platform engineering is coming to DevSecOps slowly but surely.
So, Mike, thanks for coming to me. And let me start things off with a plug. We've announced it. We will be at RSA this year again for the 10th year on Monday of RSA week in the Moscone Center. I don't remember the room off the top of my head, but it'll be our DevSecOps event, DevSecOps Connect. And this year's theme is AI and cybersecurity on app dev. So if you have any, and we have free code for Expo only passes, which will get you into our event on Monday at Moscone. So if you're interested in DevSecOps, check it out. We're all over social media. It's on Security Boulevard, DevOps.com. Come joining us if you're one of the 45,000 whatever people coming out to RSA. DevSecOps, it's still hot. I'm recording a panel on Predict right after taping today's gang on DevSecOps for 2025, and I've got some great folks on there. Look, Sonar is an open source kind of powerhouse already. A lot of their stuff is open source. I think it's a great acquisition. Tidelift had some great technology. I didn't see what, and obviously they're not going to announce it. You're private companies. I didn't see what they paid. I hope they paid a nice premium and it wasn't a fire sale. Unfortunately, as the CEO of Techstrong, 2 customers now become 1. And that's never a great thing, though congratulations to both of them and wish them well. On OpenText, look, OpenText is a powerhouse. They have, such a wide portfolio of of solutions here, including DevSecOps. And, when it comes to AppSec is still a people game, right? There's still pen testers and everything else, right? AppSec is a service, if you will. And so Secure Code Warrior is one of the best in the business in training and that for AppSec folk. And so this is, I think, a good thing for open text, and it's probably a nice new channel for Secure Code Warrior. My question is, does Secure Code Warrior maintain its independence here? Right? How close is that alliance with OpenText where it winds up conflicting with maybe some of the other players in this marketplace? Lastly, Salt Security, API security. When was the last time we spoke about API security? API security turned into the Edsel a bit here in our DevSecOps space. It was all set to replace the WAF and be the next hot thing in AppSec. And as often happens, I think one company, our friend Michelle McLean worked at, Mitch, got sold to Red Hat early on for some decent money. And then the rest, yeah. And then, but we haven't really seen them. We're seeing a lot of these a lot of these API security companies now pivot into more general AppSec and away from just pure API security. So I'm not surprised by this alliance. It could be Salt's looking for a home as well, and CrowdStrike could provide that home. I think in classic technology function, API security has become a feature, not a product. There it is.
I think if you look at it along those same lines, what seems to be happening is we're trying to make it easier for security people and developers to collaborate around a single platform. And we're trying to just make it easier to discover capabilities that people didn't use all that much, right? So API security being a prime example. If it sits within the SIM provided by CrowdStrike, more people will see it and maybe see the value. At the same time, if I'm sitting inside of OpenText and I'm doing the code scanning, well, that's exactly when the developer needs to know how to write better code. So that makes more sense to show up with the Secure Code Warrior stuff. So I think a lot of the silos are coming down. I'm not sure that, that we're ever going to see the perfect Uber platform for all things, but I feel like we're making progress. Mitch, I don't know what you think.
On one hand, I'm really positive about it. On the other hand, I'm like, it's about time. Where we've been, right? This is something that could have happened 2 years ago, not just today, right? And so I think it's recognition that we have to build security into other things, not security is always its own product. And to Alan's point about API being a feature, not a product, API security. So, I mean, there's some great companies out there, those that you mentioned, Tidelift and others. ChainGuard is another really interesting company that's acting as a source for securing all the software that you put into your software supply chain. SonarGuard is another.
SonarGuard, I think, is the product from Sonar, no?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's why I'm tripping up.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
Pose a question too. So in the security space, when we're talking web security and those kind of things, our research data, Futurum research, as well as some work that we've done with some other folks, shows that they're using about 70 different tools.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. They're using huge number of security tools. And part of that is because, there is a question here. Part of that is because I want best of breed. Because I need, and I'm also, the line keeps moving. So in this situation, is it that it's a well-known and identified problem and it's now easier to kind of like for the API security just to kind of roll it all into there? Or how is that different than what maybe the CISOs are trying to do with what's going on with the DevOps kind of folks and what's happening here?
Yeah.
Well, Camberley, to your point, security people come from a mindset of, I got a thing for this problem, I got a thing for this problem, I got a thing for this problem, right? And moving to more of a zero trust kind of model. But the problem is, now how do you do that in software? And that's not necessarily security team's expertise. And so now we're seeing software security products, DevSecOps kind of products, for example, into a CrowdStrike environment, right? So something that's a traditional security product. So it started that maturation of those two things integrating better together, because oftentimes the budget for buying even software security tools or development come out of the security budget, because that's easier to get that funding there. So your point is spot on. Yes, this should be happening, kind of moving forward in more of an integrated fashion. But we've got to let go of I got a pizza box or an appliance or a virtual piece of software that does everything that makes me more secure together. That amalgamation hopefully holds together and provides enough security.
You know, in my years in security, I've seen this pendulum swing back and forth, and so has Mitchell. Right? There was a time where you did buy a pizza box. We sold pizza boxes. I thought we could sell them with an inside sales team for $3,500 a box. Didn't work so good. Then it swung to, hey, let's make a pizza box that does everything, though. So it's an all-in-one pizza box. Mitchell wasted a lot before he washed up on a rocky shore. Shipwrecked. He wasted a lot of cycles on
Shipwreck
that.
of open source community software.
Yes, but you're right. There is 72 on average different security products, and it's insane. Unless you talk to security people will rationalize this till the cows come home. Well, I need a security product for when Camberley wears a green sweater, but when she wears a brown sweater, I need a different security product. And they'll rationalize it and make it sound real. Really what we're seeing, though, is a move to the security platform. And we've seen this happen over the years, right? We've seen it. And then it swings back the other way to the best of breed thing. It also is aligned with the cycles of security innovation, right? So when we get new categories of security tools, we get like that Cambrian explosion, like API security. About 3-4 years ago, there were probably a dozen API security companies, unicorns, no name was one of them. And then, the great die down occurs and they get absorbed into the big platform players. Then you'll get a new round of innovation and you'll blossom again. And then it dies down into and what's funny is for the most part, the security platform players remain the same. God bless you, Mitch. Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Cisco, you know the names. CrowdStrike has become one now, right? The platforms remain, the fancy corals blossom and then die back. And is just normal for the security world. Nothing new here, move along. These are not the robots or the AI agents that Mike's looking for. But that's my take on it. I hope that helps answer your question.
Thanks.
All righty. Guys, if that's it, I think we've got to call it a wrap on this version of the gang. Mitch and I are needed on a DevOps Unbound episode. Don't miss that one. It'll be on
The bat phone is ringing. We've got to go.
We've got
answer
Nathan
it.
Harvey there and some folks in the platform engineering world. It's going to be a good one.
Dora.
But,
Yep.
Yep. We will be back tomorrow, though, for our Friday edition of DevOps Gang as we get ever closer to Christmas here and the end of the year. So we've got a lot of great stuff with a lot of great people. Until then, this is Alan Schimmel on behalf of Mike and Mitch and Camberley and Jon. You've just watched another Techstrong Gang. Hey, everyone. It's Sunny.
And share.
Ladies and gentlemen, tech enthusiasts, and future gazers, gather round. The biggest, boldest, most mind-blowing predictions for 2025 are coming your way at the Predict 2025 virtual event on January 9th.
Oh, Sonny, you're predicting something again. Last time you tried this, you said Laserdiscs were the future. How'd that work out for you?
Hey, Cher. Not every prediction's a hit, but that's why we've got the real experts this time. Top analysts, visionaries, and tech leaders sharing what's going to rock our world in 2025.
So no Sonny predictions this time? No flying toasters making a comeback?
Very funny, Cher. But seriously, we're talking AI breakthroughs, cybersecurity game changers, the future of DevOps, cloud innovations, and so much more.
And what about my favorite prediction, a smart mirror that tells you how fabulous you look every morning? That's real innovation.
You're already ahead of the tech share. But if you want to hear the really big stories in tech for 2025, you've got to tune in on January 9th. The event kicks off at 8:45 a.m. Eastern and runs until 2:30 p.m.
And the best part, it's all virtual. No stuffy conference rooms, no long commutes. Just grab your coffee, your laptop, and join us from anywhere in the world.
You know what else? It's not just predictions. It's insights, strategies, and a whole lot of fun.
Well, Sonny, if this event is as good as you say, maybe they'll finally name a technology after you, like the Sonny 2.0, predicting your jokes before you tell them.
That's a good one, Cher. But the real joke is if you're missing out on this. So don't miss Predict 2025.
That's right. Mark your calendars, January 9th, 8:45 a.m. Eastern. Be there or you'll miss the biggest scoop on the future of tech.
See you at Predict
2025.
Be there.